Welcome to the latest in our series of podcasts. We're talking to people who have helped to shape Leeds and Yorkshire, to help to make it what it is today. Delighted to welcome Simon Lyons, an old friend in business, and I believe you've been at it 30 years.
Coming up to.
You don't look old enough.
I feel old enough.
So I think we probably started our businesses as independents about the same time, sort of late 90s. So we've kind of grown up a little bit together, haven't we?
We have.
And the idea of this discussion is to talk about the retail resi scene in Leeds, where it's come from, where it is now, and hopefully to look a bit into the future as well, and perhaps for you to deliver us a few little golden nuggets of what you think the next few years might look like, who you'd like to see here, and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So perhaps you'd just like to start by telling us a little bit about your journey to Leeds and in property and how you've ended up here today.
In a roundabout way, sort of Yorkshire's home. I went to London for 11 years and it always had the strings to pull me back. So in 1999, so a long time ago now, I decided to set up what is effectively central retail now. Been based in Leeds, coming up to 30 years, and we love it. It's our home city, very proud of it. And to see the change in the retail scene, the resi scene and the office scene in the last 30 years has been remarkable. Completely changed from, back in the early days when you wouldn't go south of the railway line.
You wouldn't. It
was take your life into your own hands.
It was very much hard to believe now, and hopefully we can perhaps put that into a little bit of context as we talk for some of our listeners. So I suppose looking back then to the late 90s, certainly from my perspective, when I started trying to persuade people to come and live in town, there was little to draw people in. And I can remember at one of the very early launches that we did, the Lady Mayor, or the Lord Mayor, the Lady Mayoress, said to me, she took me to one side at a little property launch and said, "I cannot imagine why anybody would want to live by this smelly canal," which we obviously cut out of the marketing.
Because the city turned its back on the river, didn't it, for a long time, and just thought we'd almost ashamed of it.
Totally ashamed of it, yeah, and for reasons that you can understand.
Yeah.
So and at that time, of course, you couldn't, from a retail perspective, one of the biggest criticisms of city living, if you like, was that the only place you could buy a pint of milk was the petrol station on Meadow Lane.
Yeah, which I know it well.
Since demolished.
Yeah,
So
we used to get that for the office.
Yeah. So what changed, and what were the factors that created change, do you think?
I think Leeds changed its perspective because it saw itself losing ground. For a long time, Leeds was, if it was a top 10 city, it was doing well. Whilst it was the capital of Yorkshire in terms of retail, it struggled massively with Manchester, Liverpool, Birmingham, and then the Scottish Glasgow and Edinburgh. And, it had loads of little bits, but it didn't have a big bit for shopping. So all these quarters it had, and it kept promoting these quarters. We just needed a whole. We needed a Trinity type thing to come and give retailers what it wanted.
And what was people talk about league tables and what's the best place to go shopping. I mean, it's a little bit of a silly question, really, but how much of a magnet was Harvey Nichols, and what do you know about the way that deal happened?
Well, it was massive at the time. I mean, because if you remember back, it was the old Empire Theatre, Empire Arcade, so Victoria Quarter now had 3 arcades, and Prudential at the time, now M&G, were our clients in London, and they wanted to redevelop it. So we got 4 offers on it, if I recall. I was running it down in London. Harvey Nichols was by far the worst commercial offer, but it was just seen as a game changer, the Victoria Quarter. And 27 years on, or whatever it may be, we've still got this monocle of being Knightsbridge of the North. So it did change. It brought more luxury retail eyes onto Leeds, and it just made Briggate look a little bit tidier.
Interested that you had 4 offers. I didn't realise. I'd sort of seen it the other way around. I thought the Prudential had almost gone off to Harvey Nichols.
No, so we had the likes of Habitat, Tesco, Metro even, when they were doing their big sort of in-town food stores. And we could have done those and, probably got £500,000 a year. And yet Harvey Nichols just a shining light. It was in, it came about over the summer where there was something in Retail Week or Drapers just saying that they were considering moving out of London. So we got on the phone to their FD, planted the seed, and a couple of years later, the deal was done.
What's your view of how well they trade? I mean, obviously there's a big headline attached to them. I believe quite a low rent historically, but how well do you think they do there?
I mean, they don't pay an awful lot in rent, but they pay a huge amount in service charge and business rates. It's a small footplate store. It's only 10,000 square feet, but it's 50 in total gross. So we always think that it trades one of the best outside of London. It's got a good feel. And, it's approaching 30 years old now. But, yeah, it's well run. We think it's something to be proud of.
It's owned by the Poon family, is that right?
It is, yeah.
So Hong Kong based.
Correct. Yeah, I think it might be Singapore, but Hong Kong. But, yeah, it is overseas. So we've got quite a good, from Redical, who own now Victoria, they've got quite a good relationship with the new chief exec now. It's a good sort of signpost for a lot of our target retailers.
I'm sure it is.
Harvey Nichols.
Just next door.
Yeah, yes.
I'm sure it is. I mean, we as you probably know, we've had our business Christmas party there for I think 22 or 3 years, and it's a pretty
fantastic
special
up on that
place.
on the top, isn't it? We had a few do's there as property do's, and it's fantastic, really fabulous, isn't it?
So that was a kind of Harvey Nichols almost 30 years ago. And what impact did that have, and how quickly would you say?
It was slow at first because obviously you sometimes get that honeymoon period and you expect to get a little bit better than you do. But I think the following 10 years, all of a sudden you saw a lot more luxury retail come through up to Leeds. Normally they would just bypass Leeds completely and done Manchester King Street or St Anne's Square. That was kind of the spot in the north. Liverpool not so, Birmingham a little bit. But all of a sudden, I think with the various change in ownerships, it's gone through all the sort of the Paul Sykes and Hammerson, now Redical. Redical have had it coming up to 4 years now.
Right.
They've had a real change on the leasing of it. They're not a typical property owner, so it's all very new to them. They've brought a much more sort of a metric, looking at things in a completely different perspective. If a deal doesn't work, they'll make it work because it's right for Victoria. So they've got a really good sort of a challenging mind, and very rarely do we say no to retail if we think it's right for the tenant mix.
As a consequence, some of the names that you're announcing now are really interesting, aren't they?
A lot of them are, because we're now getting to the point now where Leeds in England is the number one spot for coming out of London first stores. Whereas before, 10 years ago, we were probably fifth coming out. It would be Oxford and possibly Bristol, Birmingham.
Are we still presumably Manchester comes first, or?
No, I think we're beating Manchester now, because on the luxury side, Manchester doesn't have the critical mass. It's got New Cathedral Street, everything else.
It's kind of a bit disparate, isn't it?
It is a bit split, whereas we've got like 100 all under one roof. And then if you look at Trinity and the changes that did, all of a sudden, Leeds just didn't have the stock. So it's had Briggett, it lost the traffic out of Briggett 30 years ago. Seems a lot longer, but you used to.
Well, we left the curbs and the double yellow lines in for 10, didn't we?
For a long time. And Commercial Street still looks like a road with a tarmac on there.
It does.
But yeah, the one thing Trinity did was it got 60 new brands into the city in one fell swoop.
And pretty quickly, no?
Yeah, it did. And it kind of changed a complete perspective of the city.
And you did that as well, did you not?
Yeah, we did. Spent 15 years doing that for Lancet. And they did a great job of it.
They did. And
it still looks pretty good, 12 years on, 13 years on.
Is that 12 years since it opened?
Yeah, 2013 it opened, yeah. Wow.
So for people who might not know Leeds that well, what's the difference principally between the Victoria estate, so Victoria Quarter and Gate, and Trinity? How do you sum that up?
So we don't see ourselves as competing for the same tenant ever, really. There might be a couple of exceptions, but pretty much they're sort of female-friendly mass market, that 18 to 35.
Yeah.
We're much more premium. Some say we're touching on the luxe end, but the premium's where we're trying to target that aspirational side. It's an older shopper. It's a John Lewis shopper with everything goes around that. But I think the two work together to bring more and more retail into the city, but under two roofs. So, it really does push up Leeds up the charts.
If you think, I've mapped it on Google Earth a couple of times. So if you look at coming out of the railway station, finding your way into Trinity at that western end, all the way through Trinity across Albion Street, and then across Briggate,
Yeah.
and then into Victoria Quarter, and then across Vicar Lane, and all the way down to John Lewis. That is a really compelling tale. I suppose I've made more of that kind of as a city.
That route
really.
is quite a good little shopping route, and it's not far.
And there aren't many places you can do that.
No, and quite a lot of it's undercover. So we do get rain, don't we, now and again?
You get some rain in Yorkshire.
So it does help.
Has to be said.
Yeah.
So thinking about the streetscape, so, for a city centre to be attractive to people, either to live or to visit, to shop, to play, food and beverage, there needs to be a combination of things going on there for me. And there was a lot of talk historically about the opportunity of the upper floors. You might remember the living above the shops or living over the shops. Anne Petherick, do you remember all that stuff?
I do recall it.
And of course, when you stand up high now and you look at Victorian Leeds, you look at second, third, fourth floors, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of feet of available
redundant space.
Yeah.
I agree. It's such a shame.
Is there a way of unlocking that?
We've looked at it in different sort of capacities of ownerships. A lot of it is down to fire strategy and escapes and that. It's not as simple as you might think. But the space up there is fantastic. It was built with people living above a shop back in the Victorian days.
Yeah.
It would be lovely to see it in our lifetimes come back into that. 1 and 2 bed flats up there.
And particularly when everybody writes and talks about the shortage of quality housing, and yet we seem sort of unable to put 2 and 2 together. And
exactly,
I've taken on board particularly with fire safety, what it is these days. It's an incredibly complex area, and you need a separate door. I'm forever boring my family with, there's no separate door, you couldn't get upstairs there. But there are plenty of buildings where you could. Is there an ownership issue as well in terms of a lot of funds are owning these buildings?
A little bit on the extremities.
And not particularly interested in
it's a project which they don't want to take on.
Yeah.
It's almost like put it in the too difficult to do bin.
Yeah.
But it would be great to see them brought back because the residents are your customers as well then for the shops. And it kind of is a two-way agreement. It would be lovely to see it. Yeah.
Well, it's certainly something I'd like to make more of before I hang my boots up.
You'll have been up there, won't you?
I've been in many buildings. I've been in 100 might be an exaggeration, but dozens and dozens and dozens of buildings, and you walk around and just think what an amazing living space it would make.
No two are the same, are they? They're all unique.
No, we've done a few. I mean, we did number 1 Harewood Street, so it's the corner of Vicar Lane, Harewood Street.
Right. Okay.
We did the floors above the Body Shop with the Oakgate Group, if you remember rightly.
Yeah.
We did 2 or 3 schemes at Town Centre. They realised very early the potential of putting residential above there.
Was that on Central Road?
Yes, so Farsali House, and then we did Thornton's Chambers on the Hedgerow.
Yeah.
Then we did one on Boar Lane with them, just on the corner above the Banker's Cap.
Yeah.
And we did another one, and I think so. It can be done if you've got a willing owner, but it does require that slightly entrepreneurial.
It does
attitude.
Some to roll the sleeves up and get properly stuck into it.
And it was probably easier then than it is now for the reasons that you've probably already said. So on the one hand, we've got a slightly more mature Victoria estate, and then into John Lewis, and then we've got Trinity, which is a little bit more younger and mass market. What about sort of independent scene outside of that? What are you seeing demand-wise for those little quirky units on? I know you don't do much of it yourselves, but the Core Lane, top of Core Lane, and the Kerr Gates and the Vicar Lanes and those sort of places. I
mean, the big sector of any demand right now for those smaller independent spots, all like QSR, that quick service restaurant. There's so many of those. They all want to be Boar Lane, Duncan Street, down Core Lane. There's massive demand from those guys. I mean, a lot of it is problematical because they need kitchen extract and things like that. But there's huge demand. I mean, the good thing I think about the city is we call it a little village because it's the scale of Leeds compared to a Manchester or Birmingham.
Yeah, totally.
It's tiny. You can walk it 10 minutes either way, north, south, east, west. So, but that to me is gold star, isn't it?
I agree with you completely.
That to me sums up Leeds. It means that you can be living in Leeds, you can shop, work in Leeds, and you're never more than 10 minutes from where you need to be. And I think that's fantastic. But right now, you can't find a shop for love and money in the city centre. It's really tightened up. Demand, and there just isn't a lot of stock at all.
Who would have thought that?
I know.
People might not believe you listening to this.
I know.
You're an agent after all, Simon.
I know, but seriously, I had a couple ring me yesterday and they just can't find shops. Trinity, there's a couple, but no, it's tightened up, which means rents are going to slowly come back to where they used to be, 10 years ago.
Interesting.
They're not far off that now.
And what's as a slight side story, but what's the investment demand like for retail units? Because that's been through a really tough time, hasn't it?
It has. Key investment right now is coming back to sort of prime, I think. A lot of people want to be on Briggate on the investor side. Bugbear for us as a practice is the amount of street hawkers on Briggate, which isn't a council issue, it's a police issue, but I just think it doesn't show Leeds in its best light.
Are you talking about the
chaps?
Little sweet corn, and then the mobile phone?
Pink fluffy toys and all that.
Pink fluffy toys.
It just paints a very bad impression. If you're coming to Leeds for the first time, I just think it undersells the city. It just needs sorting out. But
I'm told they've circumvented the law by moving their pictures every...
Yeah, they need to keep them mobile.
So they mobile and move, so then they can't be interfered with. It's
still a bit, if you're going to be somebody like a Charlotte Tilbury looking to invest a lot of money into the city, to have a guy selling sweet corn outside your front door.
The smell of sweet corn drifting through your front door.
Yeah, I just think
it's a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah. There are other places in the city where you could put them other than Briggate.
And would you formalise that? I mean, would you say, like, this is, for example, let's just move that
I think so.
To a certain area?
Areas like in London have done that, haven't they? And, it's like a mini box park, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're just sort of saying, look, this area, you can do all your street hawking.
Yeah. Go on, where would that be?
Content.
Where would that be in Leeds then?
I think it should be near the markets.
Yeah.
So,
create
for an
culture.
exchange, because effectively that's where it should be. That's where it started. It's just drifted to Briggate.
And how do you feel about buildings being knocked down to be replaced by purpose-built students in the retail core? What's your thoughts about that?
I suppose the biggest example for us right now is the House of Fraser disappearing. I get it. I do get it. There's probably 360 units going into that, above Uniqlo and then what will be a Victoria's Secrets next door. It isn't what I would choose as I don't think it's catering for the young professionals. It's more the students and the high-end students. Mm-hmm. My understanding of that is.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And they're very expensive. But there's not many buildings on Briggate. I think you'd say let's just take a ball and chain to and demolish. It's quite an attractive street, I think.
It's looking good. I mean, almost all the way to the top now. For the first time in a long time, it's looking well managed, well occupied. Now, isn't it? Yeah,
it's got its mojo back.
Yeah, most
Flannel was
definitely.
opening last October, and all of a sudden, Briggate is looking like it used to do.
As it should.
It's a premier street.
I agree.
Commercial street, not so, because the size of shops are all 1,000 square feet. So you've got your jeweler alley, we call it, watch sort of walls.
I was going to talk to you about watches and chicken. Yeah,
there's all that. Yeah, and then you've got chicken walls
watches and chicken.
It is exactly that. I know. So it's a funny mix, but that's just down to Commercial Street just carrying the highest footfall in the city.
I bumped into Simon Walton the other day of Berries. He was opening the Breitling store one Saturday morning. I was out early, and Popeyes were fitting out, and he and I can understand why. He's massively frustrated with how that little agglomeration of high-end jewellery has been broken up by fast chicken out of America.
It disrupts it, doesn't it? Because all of a sudden you've got guys on bikes, the Deliveroo chaps, piling down Commercial Street quite a breakneck speed. You've got all the waste coming out, so people just dropping litter. I don't think it's what the jewellers expected when they invested all that money.
I don't think they're particularly happy, I sense.
No, I don't think many people in Leeds are really.
I don't think so. So just summarising, I guess looking forward a little bit and thinking about how we build on Trinity, the Victoria Estate, all the demand from independents, which is amazing. I mean, that was not there 3 or 4 years ago.
No.
What do you think that's going to look like moving forward? What's your vision for the future?
I think Trinity is going to reset a little bit and go probably more mainstream, which gives Victoria a bit more of I suppose, a space to go after more and more premium and some slightly lower, because there are a lot of retailers who If it's a daily shop and you're spending 10, 15, 20 pounds, it's footfall, and it's giving a customer what they need. Yeah. Not everything has to be a watch or
absolutely.
An expensive item. So we're very conscious of trying to give a sort of a customer a daily shop as well. And I think as Trinity slowly lowers its aspirations, I think there's benefits across the city then, all across the city. It's just Leeds is trading really well at the moment.
It's great to hear.
I think it's
so. If there isn't a shop to be had, we've got all this demand, but at the same time, and I would agree with you completely that one of the most defining and attractive features of Leeds is its walkability, and you're only ever 10 or 15 minutes from where you need to be, so you don't need to get on a bus, get an Uber or whatever. Yeah. So how do we continue to encourage the city to grow and find homes for all of those independents when at the moment we're struggling for retail units to offer them? Where do we go next?
I think obviously we've got the new passenger transport proposed. I think if we can take more cars out of the core of the city would help a lot. Pedestrianise more streets. Ball Lane particularly. I mean, that should be pedestrianised street now.
Yeah, I agree.
It should be as you come down.
Serves no purpose for vehicles.
Yeah, exactly. It's just purely, you could drop the loop further down, couldn't you, further south? And people can still get into the city quite quick. I think obviously you're losing the core on Hedgerow, so that's going on Lands Lane. So that's all going to be residential, isn't it? Students, yeah. Again, so more students coming in.
1,000 students, I think.
So big chunk of not very good retail disappearing there, but it just means the guys on the other side are feeling a bit out of sorts,
isolated.
Yeah, I think so. I think when you go north, if you look what town centre are doing. Very commendable because they're doing all sorts. They're doing lots of resi now, aren't they? They've just gotten that planning
this week.
Saw that.
Students.
So, yeah. But, we keep playing this student card, but there's a massive demand, isn't there?
Massive demand, and of course they fuel the economy, hugely.
Very affluent students. So, people are going, back in the day, you wouldn't go shopping in Victoria. Now, a lot of our customers, coming straight out of uni. And a lot of them are staying in Leeds as well. So it's a big tick in the box for Leeds to say that you do your 3 or 4 years studying here, then people settle and take a job, make a career, make a home here. So it says a lot about Leeds, I think.
Yeah, it does. So coming back to that point about where do we go next? So there's empty stuff on the Hedgerow, I think, the sort of Eastgate end of the Hedgerow, and then
there is, because the buses sort of dissect Hedgerow, doesn't it? City side is fine. Once you go north, slightly disparate. I think
up New Briggate is a little bit lost at the moment.
That could do with tidying up.
Yeah,
feels a bit lost up there at the moment. A bit. If you look at sort of say Manchester Northern Quarter, where you've really got a good selection of independent food and fashion guys, I think we could do with that being a little bit better than it is now.
What would you do to help that to happen?
Well, you need a selection of the landlords who own the properties up there to get together and see a vision. Because no one owner has it all, and that is one of the big problems. But it will need investment, probably need some grant funding.
There has been some Townscape Heritage Initiative money up there, hasn't there? I think
there has.
The buildings on the left-hand side, that where that little string of kebab shops is, and there are empty upper floors there with planning permission.
And if you go into like Grand Arcade and that, it's fantastic. And that's come back. It's it's nearing probably 70-80% occupancy. Yeah. And I love that vibe in there.
It's amazing.
You can wander through there and think, I could be anywhere.
Yeah.
I know it's Leeds, but it's just a little bit of a...
And I presume it's only held back by its geography, isn't it? It's just that little bit north.
It's a step too far, isn't it, for a lot of people?
But by the same token, presumably if you can bring volume, bring enough operators at the same time, you create a destination.
Exactly. And if you could pedestrianise that, so it almost follow the top end of Briggate.
All the way through.
All the way through. All you have to do is get across Hedgerow, don't you? And you could do what they do on Oxford Street, where they make it like a traffic-free sort of crossing point, where, for 2 minutes, no buses are going across it, and it just means that the street's opened up.
So if it's the case that there's, Leeds retail sounds like it's in a better place than it's been for a long time, perhaps ever, and there's continuing demand from all sorts of occupiers, how do we avoid a situation where there isn't any opportunity anymore, we stagnate. How do you overcome that?
That's quite a difficult question, actually, Jonathan. I think there are certain people who have got key investments in the city, and I think by hook or by crook, they normally make an opportunity happen if they see a good enough retailer. I think in our sector right now, the one thing Leeds is missing is Sephora.
Okay.
The sort of perfumery brand. It's kind of everywhere in the big sort of cities. We haven't got it. We haven't got the space for it, really.
That's it. There isn't a unit, really.
No, there isn't right now. It's a shame when you look at it, because you see them going into sort of Meadowhall and Manchester and Liverpool, and you think, where's Leeds getting their Sephora?
So how big would that unit be? I mean, if it's
8,000 square feet. So probably the size
on a single floor.
Yeah, so similar size like an Apple or a Nike. So there's certainly not that floor plate anymore in Leeds Briggate. Trinity there is, but they're not as big a fan.
They don't want to go in there.
They don't. No, they see themselves as a high street retailer, really.
Interesting.
So, but yeah, I think right now, I don't think we're missing an awful lot of retailers who are sort of leapfrogging Leeds, going straight to Edinburgh or Glasgow. We don't miss many to Manchester. We set a level peg, I think, on some of the key brands.
That's a huge change in the last 5 6
years.
Yeah, it is.
Because I think we have got the product now.
You don't do F&B, really, do you?
No, we do a little bit, but we're not the experts on it. No, most of our stuff is
straight retail,
pure retail.
Stay in your lane, Simon. That's what I always thought.
Yeah. Once you get to a certain point, you think, I know my stuff, but I don't really know too much about that. Yeah.
Good for you. So Sephora is one. Are there other people that you think, I'd really like to bring them to Leeds?
Well, if you did a cross-section questionnaire of anyone in Leeds, they always go Selfridges, always. That's their number one. And you think, yes, very well, but
it's not going to happen, is it?
No, we're not going to have. It's just not.
We nearly did, didn't we?
We did actually. It's just not going to happen right now. It's had change of ownerships and all that. It's just not going to happen. Great brand, but I think for Leeds right now, it's got the John Lewis very well. It's the only one in Yorkshire, so that's a big flag. You've got a very good Harvey Nicks, and you've got a good flannel store. So all of a sudden, you sort of ask yourself, what more does the customer want? Department stores aren't, they're not.
What about what about if there's one brand you could bring, apart from Sephora? Is there somebody you'd just love to bring into Leeds?
I think if we could bring one brand, it would be somebody like a Fortnum & Mason.
Okay. That's not ambitious.
Just to shake it up a bit. No, I agree. I think that would just be a bit of a wow. Do you know what I mean? And that's everything. I think that would be change, wouldn't it?
Can you do that for us, please?
We would love to. Not easy.
You set your stall out there. I shan't let you forget that one.
And the other one, I think I was going more independent, would be Betty's. Get them back to Leeds.
They've tried, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, if you remember, they were in Leeds. I mean, I don't remember, but 1974.
Well, they have that They own the freehold.
Yeah, they do. With the Vodafone on the corner.
Yeah.
So they had a shop and a cafe upstairs.
That's right.
Tried and just trying to get the family to look at coming back into the city.
That would be great.
I just think it would be a great opportunity. I know a lot of their shoppers are Harrogate coming into Leeds to work, but I still think there's a massive customer base here for some.
Cafe Concerto, did you put them into Victoria?
Yeah, we did, and they're trading.
Because it's quite similar, but I mean, it's not
tea and a cake, isn't it? All that
expensive.
It is expensive,
but it's a very nice fit out, and it looks amazing, doesn't it?
And people love it. So it's just giving the customer what people want, and I think Betty's is that on the independent side.
I was told, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure, but I was told that Betty's looked at the Rays buildings on Vicar Lane.
They did, yeah.
So across the road from the Ivy Asia.
Yeah, because typically they don't want to be inside they
want street front.
A Victoria. Yeah. They'd want to be outside, just almost in a standalone. So King Edward Street would be great for them, I think, at some point. Yeah. Because then they've got outside seating.
Perfect.
Not many places in the city you can have outside seating for dining.
That'd be perfect.
I think that'd be great. But next 10 years, Jonathan.
Good man. I'll hold you to that. I'll hold you to that. So just to summarise, I think if you were responsible for selling Leeds to tourists as an experience, what would you say to them about just summarising what you think the retail scene looks like just now.
Well, it's going back to what you first said. It's the whole experience, isn't it? People come here and you want them to stay for longer, so you want them to make a weekend of it. You sort of visitor, you want them to come on a Thursday night, Friday, go home on a Sunday, but with a good feeling. So it's everything from where they're staying, whether that's a Airbnb apartment or one of the nice hotels. They're going to nice restaurants, they're going maybe to the theatre, they've got all the arts up here. You've got all the shopping you could possibly want outside of London, really, brands-wise, whether it's high street or premium. I just think, and you've got all the sport as well. Can't forget that we've got a Premiership football team this time. You've got the rugby, you've got the cricket, and 20 minutes from here you're in Harrogate, aren't you? So you've got all the green and pleasant lands. So I just think Leeds has got something for everyone, and you can make a really nice weekend of it. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make people come more often, for longer, spend more money in the city. And we're seeing that, as the city grows for us retail, it's punching out its catchment. So people are travelling now further and further to come to Leeds because it sees it as having something different to, say, Manchester. So
great stuff, isn't it?
Regularly we'll see people travel 45 minutes to an hour, whereas before it'd be 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
And we've got theatre.
We have.
And we've got opera, and we've got ballet resident here as well.
Which is superb, isn't it, down there? I mean, to have it all right in that spot.
I think we're the only city outside London that has those three residents.
And people forget that a lot of times.
So here's a question for you. So Manchester has had great success delivering the W branded residence as part of the St Michael's scheme that Gary Neville's Relentless Group have done. And that's been a phenomenal success. That's sold out. The Nobu are now going to be delivering a branded residence and hotel. And I believe there's a third.
There's a Soho House as well.
Soho House, but there's another, so there'll be effectively a fourth branded residence. And we don't have one in Leeds, and I'm a bit jealous. So do you think it's possible that Leeds, which has a very similar demographic to Manchester and a very similar average salary in the city core, do you think Leeds could take a 5-star branded hotel and residence? Could you see that working?
Yeah, I do. It's got the professional support, and the more and more events Leeds as a city holds and hosts, there's a demand for that definitely here. The airport's not far away. It's just where you'd put it, because a lot of it's trying to find the character buildings. Manchester's got an awful lot, the scale of Manchester compared to Leeds. So therefore its choice of lovely old banking buildings outdoes us a bit, I think.
Yeah.
So it's finding the right spots. But
well, you bring Fortnum and Mason, and I'll bring a 5-star branded residence. How's that sound?
That would be a great deal, wouldn't it? That would push us up a couple more notches.
So listen, it's been great to sit down and talk to you. And I, for one, I'm pretty busy. I live in the city centre and I work in the city centre, but I didn't quite have that perspective that you've just put to us about just how positive the retail scene is. And I'll definitely be shouting about that going forward. And I think that's something we should
I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Really proud of. So no sign of things slowing down, and nor are you and I, hopefully, Simon.
No. One foot in front of the other each day. It's a challenge, isn't it? But everyone likes a challenge.
They do. And here's to another 30 years. Yeah,
and we always have this motto of if it's outside your reach, just keep going for it, because eventually you'll get it.
Yeah, I agree. So it's a good adage.
Yeah, I think so. A no might be a yes in 5 years' time.
Things change faster.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, just reminding people about the city. That's what we do.
Well, thank you, and keep doing what you do. And it's been really good to see you.
Thank you very much indeed.
Cheers.
Thank you, John.